Yes. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to VM. An OG is back in the building, looking all quarantined up with the beard. My guy, Boss. What up, baby?
What's going on? Yeah, I haven't shaved. This is the most pathetic attempt at a beard that the world has ever seen, probably. It's
Yo,
just
what happened over here, son? Why is it just mad? Like it's just patches is missing.
me.
Yeah, on the side. Like I don't
Yeah,
see
it
no.
doesn't come in, man. It's just a full-on neck beard. I don't know. It's sloppy, but it's
Yo,
quarantine, so I got no haircut, no shave. It's just
shit.
going right now.
This is why I got a hat on. Look at my head, bro. It's fucking. I'm falling apart. One
Yeah, we're
one
working.
Xbox session at a time, just falling apart.
We're working with what we got over here. I don't know how else to put it. It's a
Dude,
struggle.
you've still been working, right?
Yeah, yeah, still working.
How's that been?
Deemed an
You
essential worker, which is it's like a joke compared to the frontline workers.
oh
But
man.
nah, it's been good. It's been good. I can't complain. I'm fortunate to still be working. I think, in my eyes, still be making some money. Um, so yeah, I have no complaints. They're doing taking the proper precautions to keep me safe. They bought like a panel of glass, uh, all the right equipment, like with masks and gloves and stuff. So I can't complain. They've been taking care of me pretty well, and I'm still, like I said, still employed, which is very fortunate. So all good
Shit.
on my end.
I see you be getting those miles in too, running, biking.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. I don't know. It's just there's nothing else to do. There's no gym open. It's tough to get exercise in when you don't have the equipment at the crib. So I feel like the only way to get working is either, I mean, by social distancing outside, by running, by biking, good practices of social distancing and still getting exercise, which I love, especially the bike. Like you can take the bike anywhere and no one's near you. It's awesome.
Yo, I can't lie, bro. This is the most relaxed I've felt physically since like being in high school. The summers you used to have 3 months off, no work, no nothing,
Mhm.
just either boozing or just chilling till 4 a.m. playing video games, waking up at 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
Yo, physically, bro, like I'm not talking about like the shape I'm in. I've been in better shape, but like as far as like my body just feeling mad relaxed, it's never felt this way. So I've definitely been enjoying quarantine because just like you, bro, you work overnights, I work early nights, early mornings, I should say. So my body feels great. So there's been a benefit from the whole quarantine season.
yeah. No, I have to agree, man. It's just things are much more. I mean, it depends. You could either be like really tense. People have different situations this quarantine, but for me, it's been same thing. Relaxed, just kind of catching up on like exercise and stuff, like you said with the running and just keep going to work and stuff. So nothing's really changed on my end. So all is good.
Dude, I'm glad you're back on. You always tell me whenever you need something. I needed something, and in particular this week because not only are we excited that we have sports back, I think this is a very unique card, not because of the circumstances we've been dealt with the whole COVID stuff. Bro, I think a lot of casuals are going to be tuning into this because people are thirsty for real sports and they don't get no realer than fighting in the UFC, bro. How you feel about that?
Yeah, nah, UFC 249. I mean, they tried to come back. What was it, a few weeks ago?
Yep.
And got shut down by, well, Dana said by ESPN and Disney wanted them to hold off. So they did. Now they're coming back with like a banger of a card. Pretty much everyone's close to 2 or 3 weeks notice at most.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm kind of surprised they were able to grab all these big names. Like you got so many storylines from the return of Dominic Cruz and Henry Cejudo defending the 35 belt for the first time. Obviously, the main event, you got Ferg fighting for the first time in what, a year plus now.
Cicerone.
And yeah, yeah. And Gaethje, that's a banger of a main event, as Dana White keeps saying, keeps hyping it up, and he's not wrong. And there's so many huge names on here, from like Francis Ngannou
Mm-hmm.
to obviously Greg Hardy, who a lot of football fans know, troubled past, but he was a great football player at one point on the field. He's trying to, get his MMA career off the ground, coming off a loss to Alex Volkov. So there's a lot of huge names in here. I could literally list the whole card right now and tell you how good every fight's gonna be. Like that's how I feel about it from top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, shit. The fight I'm most looking forward to, bro, and I'm not even bullshitting you, is Luke and Nico Price, and that's like the third fight on the card. That's early
Yeah,
prelims kind of shit, and that could easily be like a pay-per-view fight because those two dudes, I know you're about to get aroused right now. Odds to finish, one of the highest on the card, so that's. We're gonna be degening hard this weekend. I can already tell with that smile on your face, bro.
yeah, you have no idea. Yesterday, I was sitting at work. I set up a FanDuel account, made my deposit, so everything is good to go. I'm driving to Jersey Saturday morning after the overnight to put
I,
in bets. You already know the first stop of the rest area. I
yeah,
mean, the book's
yeah,
not open, so it's got to be done online, and we can't do it in New York. So Jersey, it's got to be.
dude. When I linked up with this dude David Hill. He writes for Esquire, and he did a piece on sports betting in New York. And I told him, I was like, bro, I always just sometimes, like, when I do take the trip in and I don't go all the way to the sports book, I'll go right to Vince Lombardi Way, the little the little rest stop, put the
Turn
bets
back.
in on the app, and then bounce. I'm out. But just like you though, I'm locked and loaded, man. This way when I get there, I know what I'm gonna do, and then from there I'm just out. But yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for sure. But before we get like super into the card and like what we're looking forward to, how do you feel about them fighting, man, on a serious note? I know we're excited about it, but like, do you agree with them going on?
Uh, that's a tough question.
Right.
I I kind of do. I don't know if you saw it, but the Embeddeds, which is pretty cool that they're still doing that series. I think it's like one of the best series leading up to anything that a professional sport does.
I
But
just I just literally finished watching episode 2 right now, right before we started recording.
okay, I haven't watched that yet, but I watched one and I thought it was so cool how they gave props and put the names up of like everyone behind the scenes. Like
Yeah.
that is phenomenal for what's going on and how hard those guys are working to get 3 shows done in 1 week down in Jacksonville. I think that's freaking awesome. So I can't say like enough good things about the UFC for hyping those guys up because they deserve a ton of credit for being they're probably not essential workers, but they're the closest thing to essential from keeping these shows going on. But yeah, I mean, fighters I feel like the old expression goes, "Fighters fight," and you said
Mhm.
it like numerous times how like a fighter's mentality is different. Like you always say, a fighter is a different breed from any other athlete that you know.
Yeah.
So Gaethje has said on the record like numerous times, like he goes into the cage preparing to die. So it's like for these guys, they're not. I would think they're not phased by a virus. They're doing all the testing. It's just
Mhm.
pretty neat. You see it like up close how Ferg has posted. Tony Ferguson posted his swab. Carla Esparza
Yeah.
has posted her swab. Michelle Waterson posted their swab. So they're doing all the testing and stuff. So I mean, if you can hold an event in the safest way possible, which they have to do a ton of work. They have to get an athletic commission to approve, sign off on it, the governor to sign off on it, the mayor to sign off on it. They did all that. So this could be the step. I mean, if they have a successful week, because they are having 3 cars in a week,
Yeah.
it could open the door for sports to return in the USA. They said an MLB proposal is coming this week from the organizations to the players union. So yeah, it's a big week. I like it. Like you said, I'm a fan, so I'm just starving for any type of sports action. But if you take a step back and look at the sports world, this is like it's the first step, and it could be a giant first step in getting sports back.
Dude, I couldn't agree with you more because I think everyone talks about when shit gets back to normal, and what's more normal than having sports on a regular basis, especially like, dude, even if you're not like a hardcore sports fan like we are, it just in general, when you go out to a bar, ESPN's always on, right? No matter what, like they're not gonna have fucking General Hospital on. They're gonna have sports on. The TV's always on sports, and it's just so much a part of life and culture nowadays. And also, you mentioned the US, dude, the Bundesliga in Germany, the soccer league, they're starting up in like 2 weeks. So that's going to be interesting because you're talking about crowds of 30, 40, 50, 60,000 people. But going back to the UFC, man, it's very like Vince McMahon of them, where the show goes on. And like wrestling, they've been performing in front of empty arenas in Florida. Florida, those fucking psychopaths opened up the beaches and shit, and people
Yeah,
were cutting their ass. So Dana White, I'm sure Dana White's looking at that like, yo, bro, if you have thousands of people at the beach, we could at least have a card here. And that's what they're doing. And I forgot about 3 cards in 8 days they're doing, bro.
yeah, it's gonna be bananas. They pretty much have it all set up already too. It's cool because like this one is obviously a pay per view, but it's stacked, so it's a great like
Yeah.
first step back, to get eyes on the screen, and then the next two are fight nights, which is cool because you don't gotta pay for them, and you can watch whatever the card. I think it's like 12 fights or 11 fights on each card. So as a fan, it's like it doesn't get better than that. You got Saturday, which is the regular day for UFC, and then midweek UFC, and then Saturday again. So it's great for a fan.
And also with this pay-per-view, which we'll start diving into right now, like you said, boss, they got mad good fights, dude. And I think because it is going to be on ESPN, they wanted to get. They're struggling with ratings, bro. They pushed the Last Dance up 3 months because they needed some like original content to be on TV. And I think one of the reasons why they stacked this card so much is because it's going to be on ESPN. You're going to have a lot of casual people just be like, yo, I just want live sports, right? Like the NBA 2K League gets like a big number on Twitch and shit. It's because people are fiending to gamble also, like we are. I've got like 300 pending right now on DraftKings. Got to fill out these lineups. Gonna hit the sports book or hit on my boy Rick who lives in Jersey, where every time I text him, he's like, all right, what bet are you looking for? Because he knows that's like the only time that I text him. But dude, you're just looking at it just constantly. Like this kid Bryce Mitchell's up and coming. He's a very unique character. Reps Arkansas hard. I mentioned Price and Luque. Waterson is a great girl, and she was just fighting almost for a title. You got legends, you got Cowboy, who everyone knows. What are you looking forward to in particular? Like, give me before we get to the pay-per-view, give me like a scrap you're looking forward to. Then maybe someone tuning in is like, yo, I'm gonna try this UFC shit out. What should I watch?
I think is Cater Stevens on the undercard,
Nah,
or is
that's
that the pay per
that's
view?
a
All right, yeah,
and
all
I
right. Well,
I'm looking forward to that fight. That fight, yo, what Shady, one of my favorite bets is plus 160 that doesn't go to distance. And I don't know, man. Those are two guys that like to throw. Two guys
great
that
scrap.
are, yeah, that's gonna be a banger. So I agree with you on that. But tell us more.
You got Jacare, who's he's had like a weird stretch lately. He moved up to 205. This is why like this card is so great because he's coming off he main evented his last fight card
Mm,
against Jan Blachowicz, who's in the hunt now for the 205 title shot with John Jones.
mm,
He's coming off a loss and he's moving back down to 85 to fight Uriah Hall, who's from New York, by the way. So that's a homegrown talent for us.
yep.
That's a banger of a fight in my eyes. You got Charles Rosa and Bryce Mitchell, like you said. Bryce Mitchell, if if you're a casual, this is your first UFC card. Look up his last fight, submission victory over Matt Sales.
Oh, he did
The
the what was it called that he did?
the Twister.
Yo, that just looks uncomfortable when you just watch the clip of that.
It's only the second one. It was only the second one in UFC history. So obviously, there's only been two in UFC history. So that was like such a dope finish. It's like impossible to pull off, obviously. And so yeah, that was cool. And like you said, he reps Arkansas hard. He's been shouting out Reebok to get him some camo gear to fight it. Like
Yeah.
he's great. Like he's such a character. And then you have Charles Rosa, who's a great story. He finished Manny Bermudez in his last fight, who was like top 35 guy, who was controversial. He always missed weight and stuff, but like a black belt, has a ton of subs to his name, and he subbed him
Mm.
uh, in his first one back. He had a long layoff due to some medical issues, so pretty cool to see Charles Rosa back because he was good before his injury and has one of the better nicknames in the fight game, Boston Strong. He's from Boston, so That's just a great scrap. I think that's the second scrap on the card.
Yeah.
That that like it just screams violence to me. That card, like a lot of submissions, can be a lot of grappling, striking. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to the most. But then you have like you said, Michelle Waterson on the card versus Carlos Esparza. Michelle Waterson just fought Joanna,
Hmm.
who just fought for the title her last time out, I believe. So yeah, she was also main eventing that card. It's like there's so many people coming off main events or co-main events on their last card who are now on the undercard. And then obviously you can't leave off Cowboy Cerrone, who fought Connor last, and Anthony Pettis, like two legends in the game, just going at it as the last fight on the prelims. If that doesn't get you to want to buy the pay per view, I don't know what will.
Yeah, and shit, we didn't even get into the pay per view, which we will in a second. But there's so many household names, man. Like Cowboy, people know Cowboy. Pettis also. Shit, they still show that knockout. Not even knockout when he hit Benson Henderson running up the
Yeah,
cage. That's like one of the most. Because have you been
Showtime
watching?
kick,
Yeah, have you been watching The Last Dance at all?
of course. It's the
Yeah,
only action I
yeah,
have on
not yeah. But yo, you know how like I felt like the shot over Elo that MJ hit. That's like a visual and a video that they play. Like it's gonna pass the test of time, as they say. That's how I feel about Showtime, bro. When he ran up the cage and he hit Benson, like that was just crazy. That's gonna last
Yeah,
forever. And then you got
it's funny.
Cowboy. What's up?
No, I should say like it's funny too. Like I feel like they show that so much that people don't realize that wasn't like he didn't finish him with that.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
you just like assume he did because it was so out of this world.
Yeah, that's very true. You know what's funny? It wasn't until like I wouldn't say recent, but I went down this rabbit hole like maybe 5 6 months ago of just now when I do cardio, bro, no matter what the cardio is, if I do elliptical, which all you guys like to make fun of me for, or now when I bike at home, I throw on fights. Like I know Joe Rogan has talked about it in the past. He's like, yo, and then I end up just doing cardio for like an hour and a half because I'm just going down this rabbit hole watching fights. So I was watching fights, and I actually got to that fight. It was like the best of WEC fights, and that was one of them. It was like in the top 5, and I didn't know until then, bro, that that didn't result in a knockout too. So I was one of those people who fell for that trap also.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Also, like even more recently, his highlight was the Superman punch kind of off the cage against Wonder Boy at
Word.
70. Like that's been shown a ton. And that actually like put Wonder Boy out unconscious. So that's also like a great one for Pettis.
What do you think is going to be the we talked about like the long-term turnaround from this event if it goes well. In the event that it doesn't, and let's say worst case scenario, someone gets sick, someone catches the Rona. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but I do want to play devil's advocate here. What kind of backlash do you think the UFC might face?
I don't know. It's probably a ton. Like, I mean, we talked about this before we jumped on. Like fighting, even training. There's so much grappling and like touching and sweating and like germs
Hell
being
yeah.
spread. The mats are sweated up. For as long as the training period lasts. Um, so I feel like MMA or even any type of training in a gym, like at least it's you got to keep that area clean like at all times. So I mean, it's one of the places where I wouldn't say it's likely to be spread, but if you look at other sports across the board, it's probably more likely to be spread. So they'll probably get like a ton of backlash. It'll suck probably for them, but Dana White, if you listen to him speak, for about since the shutdown occurred, pretty much, he's like he won't be denied pretty much. Like he's just like willing to go on and on and on and on until like literally someone will tell him no. And ESPN and Disney had to tell him no um for for him to shut down before. So I don't know, man. They'll probably get a ton of backlash, but I'm sure they'll be like he'll be persistent about getting the next event on as fast as possible because he'll probably just be like, oh, it's a whole new group of fighters, a whole new different city. They'll probably do it in Vegas somewhere like the Apex or he
Or
says he has other venues, Fight Island. Who knows what's going on with that?
is that even a
Uh,
real thing, you think?
No one knows. Nobody.
It's like
Oh
it's like
man.
when Undertaker used to come out from the parts unknown. You just didn't know
Yeah,
what the hell that meant. That's
that's Fight
that's what
Island.
that's Fight Island. That's where he's from. Cause yo, why do you think? Cause like this shit is still going on. It's still a pandemic, and it still hasn't been. States are starting to open up, but there's still mad shit coming their way as far as like the backlash that we're talking about. Why do you think it's okay now with them going to Florida? Do you think it's because they've opened up the beach in the state down there for the most part? That Florida then can't turn and be like, yo, you can't have this card when you have
Yeah.
all these people on the beaches and shit.
I don't know. I think honestly, I think UFC, like Dana was just trying to go wherever he could as fast as he could. So I mean, Florida, like you said, they've kind of been open. Um, like I said before, they got an athletic commission. The governor approved, and the mayor approved. He said they submitted like a 30-page document on all the safety measures they were taking to get this event and going. Like I know one of them that came up recently was like there's no in cage interviews for the winners,
Mm.
which is like a huge staple,
Oh
for the
shit!
UFC.
Wow, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's no post fight interviews in the cage
Because
for
I,
this
I
event.
know I know they're not doing face offs
Right,
like the pre-fight. Like when they do the ceremonial weigh-ins and shit. They're not doing that.
right. So I mean, I don't know. I think he's just going wherever he can to get his brand or to get sports going as quickly as he can. Also, I know you talk about all the time the standalone game, like for Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football. Like they have. This is the one time on a Saturday night you probably won't have anything else going on in the sports world. It's a standalone event. So like you touched on earlier, you get all the wagers.
But yeah, dude, I didn't even think about the standalone factor, but that's so true. How there ain't gonna be shit on TV to watch. Pretty much the only thing you can watch is like Netflix, and you can pause that and go back to it. But as far as like live content, this is it. This is it. What kind of who are you looking at from like a betting perspective, man? Let's dive into a little degenning right now, because there's some people that are thirsty for some betting. What's caught your eyes?
I don't know. It's weird because you don't know like what the training circumstances are like.
Yep. I
Uh,
felt the same way. That's one thing that I'm
it's the
struggling with because I don't really know. Usually I like to see I'm a body language guy, so I want to see how you look when you get on the scale. I want to see what the face off is going to look like. Like remember the guy Kutulaba
yeah, yeah.
Hulk when he yelled at what was the dude Roundtree?
Roundtree,
And
yeah, yeah.
Roundtree flinched. I was like, well, shit, that was the best indicator to not pay $9K for him on DraftKings and get put to sleep early. Both my lineups and him. So that's something I like to look at. But I do feel like there's a lot of unknown with the circumstances, and you don't know how the training camp is. But then also, like, you look at the Dominic Cruz fight, bro, like, this dude's been off for a while
Yeah.
and he just steps into a title shot. How you feel about that too? Do you feel like the rankings don't even mean nothing anymore? Because why does Cruz deserve a title shot?
I can't even tell you, man. It's like 35 is such a wacky division. Like you have Aljo, who's been campaigning for that title shot and like complaining about how stupid it is. How that Cruz, like you said, what's it been like 3 years or close to it? I don't know if it's 3 years exact. It's like 2+ for sure.
Was
Since he
his
fought
last fight
Cody.
Cody?
Yeah, that was what the end of 17.
Wow. Yeah, bro, that was quali season.
Yeah,
That was the card that I won. Oh no. Never mind.
no, that was TJ.
It was TJ.
But that
Yeah.
was the end. So it was the
Bradson.
end of 16. It was the end of
Yeah.
16. Gee, so 3+ years.
Jesus.
Yeah. So Cejudo's coming off surgery on his shoulder. It's like there's so many unknowns. It's like his first title defense at 35. But I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with Cruz getting the shot. Listen, he's like the GOAT 35er, but when you're inactive for 3+ years, it's kind of weird. I mean, also the circumstances are crazy. But there's Jan who's deserving. There's
Mm.
uh I, like even Aldo was in line to get the shot before him. He's coming off
A
a
loss. Yeah.
loss, albeit controversial to Marlon Moraes. Peter Yan, who's just been devastating with finishes. He knocked out Uriah Faber his last time out. So there's so many more intriguing guys I'd rather see, like a Corey Sandhagen. You can even throw his name in there.
Yo, that's my guy.
You know what I'm
Over
saying? Like I'd rather see
every car, baby.
Sandhagen, Aljo, or Peter Yan fight for the title rather than Cruz or Aldo, who's coming off loss, or even like Frankie Edgar was mentioned. He's moving down to 35. I don't know. I don't agree with it, but I guess it is what it is during these times.
Because it does seem like you saw that shit happen at the card that I went to in Vegas, bro. Like Romero lost 3 of 4. And I know questionable some of those losses. Like some people had him winning the second Whitaker fight. Some people even had him winning the first one, and then even with like Paulo Costa. But still, like you look at, if you were to bring in a casual fan, right? And again, the reason why I think it's very important for the casual fan to be able to understand this is because there's going to be a lot of people tuning into this card this weekend. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, bro, if the numbers for ESPN, the prelims, draws like a Monday Night Football game, like for real, because of there ain't nothing going on. There's no other sports it needs to compete with. There's no other sports that have gone on, and like Korean baseball just started, which I've seen you up in the morning watching.
Yeah, I stayed up till 5 a.m. The first was it Monday night to watch the whole game.
Yeah, because
I was
dude,
like
like, yo,
fiending for any type of action.
yes, not even like the better in you, but just like the sports thing. I'm like, yeah, I'm tired of
Yeah,
watching fucking Netflix all the time and watching the news, and it's always depressing. It's another person dies from corona or gets sick or some wild shit happens. But I think that this ESPN card, and I was watching Ariel Hawani had Karate Hottie on Michelle Waterson, and he told her too. He was like, dude, you're gonna get a lot of eyes on you because of all these circumstances. So that's why I think, like, for the casual fan, this is going to be such a big moment for the UFC. And it goes back to like the Dominic Cruz and Romero thing, just to bring it all together. How if you were to bring one of those casual fans and be like, yo, this guy's fighting for the belt, and then he goes, oh, what's his record? Like, and you're like, oh, he's whatever, but he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. It's like, why is he fighting for a title? Why is this guy fighting? He hasn't fought in 3.5 years. Like, I understand you're alleging you're an icon of that division, and you're one of the top fighters in the game. I do feel like ever since they sold and for like the $4 billion, they've kind of really went for the money and the big fights, which I can't even blame them for that too. But it also defeats the purposes of your rankings.
right. It's also like the fight game. It's I don't know. I'm not in the fight game, so I can't say it's changed. But it's also like I feel like it's just different now. Like you have Cejudo calling out Aldo who lost. He's calling like he calls out like as the champ. He's calling out guys who aren't worthy.
Right.
So the champ is also you have the champ asking for these fights. You had Adesanya calling out Romero.
That's
You
true too.
know, so it's like I don't know. The fight game is in like a weird situation, but it's those are also money fights too. So I guess the champs also want the money. Those names that they're calling out come with the money. So I don't know. It is. It definitely is. I have to agree. It's all like it's a money. It's a big money grab these days. So it seems.
We haven't spent enough time on Jarzinho versus Nagano, and that might be like people love heavyweights. People want to see. How do you feel? Oh no, actually, you've been a culprit of this too, bro. Where you feel like you can't get knocked out by a 125er. What was it the thing you used to say?
No, it's yeah. I said a strawweight couldn't knock me out. A
Yeah.
woman's strawweight, 100%. I still stand by that.
You also
But
got the
and
cosign from what's his name at
Roy Nelson,
Bellator. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
Yo,
my.
I was also like Roy Nelson's size then. I was like, I was a heavyweight.
Yeah.
I'm still heavyweight, but
Not
yeah,
can a weight can a crazy weight cut get you down to 205?
yeah, for sure, for
But
sure.
but but then you probably look like Cyborg in the jacuzzi, right? Just like in
Yeah,
mad pain because of the weight cut.
getting 45. Yeah,
Well, you keep getting
but
these miles in, brother. You'll be like Brock Lesnar soon. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yo, soon enough. That's
Little,
it. 205.
little
I'm coming for John Jones.
but yo, you look at these heavyweights and like people always said how it's cool Mayweather and Pacquiao and even Canelo Alvarez to an extent. I know different sport, but like the draw of it, people always gravitated to the heavyweights because just the visual, right? Like I'm a big eye test guy. Just the visual of seeing Francis Ngannou, you're like, all right, that's a fucking ass kicker. And then Jairzinho is no slouch either. I think prior to his last fight, he spent like 2 minutes and 12 seconds in the octagon.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
then with
with 24:59.
Overeem, yeah,
So
Overeem,
might as well have been.
talk about a fucking walk off. But that goes to show you the power in these dudes. And that was 5 rounds into it. How you feel about this fight? And I think this is the fight that's going to have people the most excited for personally, outside of the main event because of what it is. Like this is the one that you're looking at future champs right here, the winner of this.
Yeah, like definitely. Ngannou has like it's been long deserved. He needs a rematch at a shot at the heavyweight title.
And
He's been
yo,
steamrolling the division, like from Blades to JDS, like literally just taking guys out
yeah.
early and often.
And dude, I hate to cut you off, but I just remembered how Rosenstruck has been asking for Nagano, which is something that people don't fucking do, which is the craziest part of this one. He's like, yo, I want Francis. And people are ducking Francis because Francis is fucking look up Francis Nagano if you haven't seen him, and you'll understand why people don't want to fight this dude.
Yeah, he pretty much ended Cain Velasquez's MMA career, like knocked him out and tore his knee on his way down. He was unconscious, full body weight fell on his knee. Like when Ngannou, I mean, the Overeem knockout
Yeah.
for both of them really were insane. Like Overeem is on both their highlight tapes.
That's right.
Jairzinho freaking busted his lip, like sliced that thing up to his nose, and then obviously Ngannou like uppercutted his head off his shoulders. So if you want to see highlights, just go watch those, and you'll see what you're getting into with Ngannou versus Rosenstruck. Like two legit heavyweights, one an up and comer and one the established like number one contender. Yeah, it's gonna be a war and a finish. And if you look at the other heavyweights, like touched on briefly, the Greg Hardy versus the Castro fight, like the Castro, I think is 2-0 in the UFC, or might be 1-0, but he knocked out Justin Tafa on a crazy
Yeah.
like counter, put him out to sleep. So he's an exciting young prospect. He had one of the biggest upsets on the Contender Series. He was one of the biggest dogs, and he got a finish. So he's kind of riding hot, and he's running into Greg Hardy, who's he's coming to his own a little bit. His striking has improved. He looked okay against Volkov, but then Volkov is just a way more seasoned and experienced fighter. So that should be also a great fight at heavyweight. So, in my opinion, I think it's 5 fights on the pay per view. It's going to be two great heavyweight scraps. Like someone's going out for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be surprised if that doesn't end in I mean the
Both of
odds
them.
for that, it's like minus 450 that it doesn't go to distance for Nagano, Jairzinho.
And how like that's insane.
Yeah, yeah. It's
You
basically
never see
gonna
those lines. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, you'd be crazy to think otherwise. Dude, let's wrap up with this title fight, man. I this is how I feel about it, boss. I want Tony to win because I want to see him and Habib. But I also want to pose this question to you. If eventually we get Tony and Habib, do you think it's going to be deja vu of Pacquiao Mayweather, where it's something that we wanted? If you remember, dude, we wanted Pacquiao Mayweather for so long, and we got it like 4 or 5 years late. We've wanted Habib and Tony. I mean, shit, 5 times it's been booked and it's been canceled. Like, do you think eventually, if we do get Tony, obviously he has to get past this matchup because Gaethje's no slouch, and I think he's the biggest wild card in that division. If Tony Ferguson gets past him, do you think that the anticipation for Habib Tony is not going to be as much because we've just been down this road so many damn times?
I don't know. It does seem cursed at this point. Like I'm a I don't I'm not gonna say I'm a diehard, but I'm a big fan. And like it still gets me high. Like I still have to see that fight. I know Joe Rogan says all the times, like we just have to see. That's all he says. Like we have to see that fight.
Yeah.
I think the hype would still be real. what was I mean, how close have we gotten both times? Like the 223 we had tickets to in Brooklyn, and
Word.
Ferguson tripped over a wire and tore like a camera wire and tore his LCL. Oh man, now like a pandemic, like a natural disaster has called off, canceled the fight. So many things have gone wrong, man, for this fight. Like you said, 5 times, but the hype, in my opinion, would still be real. They both can talk. They
Mm.
both put on like crazy good press conferences.
Hey, sunglasses. Hey,
Yeah,
stupid guy. Yeah, I was there for that, bro. It was great. It was
yeah,
so
you were
good.
there. You
Yeah, it
know
was so
Mexican,
funny.
you American,
Yeah,
Ferguson.
yeah.
Yeah,
What do you know street fight?
yeah, yeah, you're American. There's no street fight. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Khabib is English is his second language, and he still like kills the press conferences. I think like inadvertently, honestly, like I don't think he knows how funny he is.
Yeah, he of
Like,
course he
like he's great on the mic.
yeah. Yeah, and I think like if you were to do like just the eye test at first, you'd be like, oh, this dude, he has the accent. He probably can't. It's probably not that entertaining. And then you just listen to him, and he has so many sound bites that I'm going to smash this guy. This is do the one that you do, mad good.
This is
This
number bullshit.
this is number one bullshit. Yeah, that's my
Yeah,
favorite
there's
one,
so
bro.
many of them, bro.
Yes.
There's so many of them.
So yo, tell us a little bit about this fight, man. How you think it plays out? Are you worried for Tony? Tony's a pretty decent size favorite, minus 180 at some sports books. As I pull up Bet Online sponsor, minus 170 at the moment on Tony, coming back with plus 145 on Gaethje. How you feeling about this main event, dude?
I think it's gonna be like, I think it's gonna be a war. When have you not seen Justin Gaethje in a war? Like you go Dustin Poirier fights, the Michael Johnson fight in his debut, Eddie Alvarez. He put Barbosa to sleep early. Like this dude is willing to stand and trade. That goes without saying. Obviously, he'll take his Tony's leg with him if they're gonna stand and trade. Like his leg kicks are second to none. And Ferg, like you've seen Ferg take damage in a lot of his fights, and he's also like a willing combatant. Like he'll stand there and trade if you want to. He's busted people up. But he got hit up too against his Pettis.
Right.
For that 2 fights ago, Pettis dropped him. He had him like it was like I don't know if he was rocked or if it was just Tony Ferguson being like super unconventional. He was like just rolling around the mat. Do you remember that? Like
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get a position. Like he's such a weirdo. But yeah, it's gonna be a war. And the one wild card, like you said Gaethje's the wild card in the division. Is Gaethje was like an all-American wrestler in college, and we've never seen him utilize his wrestling.
ever.
Um, and yeah, in the UFC or maybe even in MMA. So if he wants to be Khabib, obviously he's gonna have to have takedown defense and wrestling. But for this matchup too, like Tony is a savage on the ground and like snap jitsu he calls it. Like he takes limbs too at all costs. So if if Gaethje can keep it standing, Tony's great on the feet. Don't get it wrong. Like, he'll piece you up and leave you a battered mess. He leaves everyone a battered mess. I saw Josh retweet something like the like 9 opponents and they're all
Yeah,
battered, bruised,
bloodied
eyes
up.
closed. I mean, just look at Cowboy in his last fight. Dude had his eye swollen shut, couldn't continue anymore. Pettis broke his hand against them. Like this guy's finishes are out of control. But yeah, man, if this is your first time watching UFC because we're in a pandemic and you just need some sports action and you're willing to buy pay per view, you're not going to be let down. That's for sure. Like this fight is going to deliver 100%. And if I had to pick a winner, I do want to see Ferg win,
Mm.
just because like you said, like we want to see Ferg Khabib. But honestly, maybe I'm bugging, but I'd have this line as a pick on man. I think Gaethje's legit. He's coming off like his knockout wins versus James Vick. He left him unconscious in the first round. The Barbosa
Barbosa.
fight I was there for in Philly. That was
Word. That's right. You guys took the
sick
trip out
scrap.
there.
Yeah, put
Yeah.
him out in the first round or first or second round. I think it was
I
the first
I
round.
I think it was first round also.
Yeah. So like Cowboy he put out in the first round, I believe, in his last fight. So there's a few common opponents there for them, like Cowboy, but it's just exciting. And obviously, when you hear Justin Gaethje, you always hear 7 bonuses and 6 fights in the UFC.
I was just gonna bring that up. I was gonna
It's
bring that
just
up.
like
So
it's
definitely
this fight has
excitement.
banger written all over it.
Dude, I feel you with the odds. I think like for me, DraftKings this weekend, I'm gonna have a lot of Gaethje just because one, I always like taking the dog in the title fight because I like to potentially build my roster around being 5-0 going into main event, so my night's not over by 8:30. Trying to punt on these random fucking dogs, like I'd rather take the chance there, and then I could always bet it the other way. Like I did that on when I was in Vegas. I I downloaded the MGM app and I put a bet in right before the Adesanya fight because I was 4-0. I was 5-0 going into Adesanya, and I had so much Adesanya, and then I just bet Romero. So I was like, yo, at least I'll eat something from there. You know, worst comes to worst. But I think with this one, man, I do think that the line is a little too wide. I do think it would be closer to like maybe minus 130, minus 125 ish. Because one thing that I think is a big X factor was when Justin Gaethje was talking about how honestly I probably have 17, 18 minutes in me at the time when the fight first got announced, like back in April, and then they ended up cutting it like the week of. Remember, he was a short notice fill in for Habib, and now he's had more time to prepare for it. So, and Tony hasn't fought in a while. You know, it's been a while since Tony has fought. So, I'm very excited, man. I cannot wait for Saturday. What are we doing? Are we doing like a Zoom party or all the boys? We just
I
crack
don't
open some
know.
cold ones?
It's something. I texted Josh. I was like, I've never been more excited to sit on my couch from like 6 to midnight
Yeah,
and just have
dude.
some beers and just not
Hell
move.
yeah. Hell yeah. I didn't drink on Cinco de Mayo and even last weekend because I'm like, I'm gonna pound like at least 8 IPAs watching this, and hopefully I'm not fully in bed before the main event because of all the money I've lost. But yo, boss, you're the man. Thanks for coming on again. I'm sure the people are gonna be hyped to hear from you. An OG as always. Uh Thank you for your time, my bro.
Yeah, bro, no problem. Anytime. Especially with fights. Like I sent you the gift. Like I'm just itching for any sports action. Like I probably said it 50 times on this podcast. I just can't wait till Saturday.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Guys, at Veterans Minimum is where you can find the show. Enjoy the card this weekend, and we will catch you all next time.